Have you ever thought of Europe as geologically quiet? For most of us, when we think of massive earthquakes or volcanic eruptions, our minds jump to the Pacific Ring of Fire, places like Japan, California, or Indonesia. Europe, with its ancient cities and stable reputation, seems a world away from such turmoil. But what if I told you that beneath the surface of this old continent, something is stirring? In the past 2 years, a series of unusual and unsettling tremors have begun to ripple across regions long considered dormant, raising a critical question. Are Europe's sleeping giants beginning to wake up? Let's dive into the data. We're not just talking about the usual seismic hotspots like Italy or Greece, which sit on well-known fault lines. We're seeing something different. Take, for instance, the series of tremors recorded in western France, a region not typically associated with significant seismic activity, or the unusual swarm of small but persistent quakes in parts of Germany's Rhine-Graben. These aren't isolated incidents. When seismologists map these events, they notice clusters and patterns that are out of the ordinary. The magnitudes might not be headline-grabbing just yet, but the frequency and location are what have geologists paying very close attention. It's like hearing a faint rhythmic tapping from behind a wall you thought was solid. It's the pattern, not just the noise, that makes you lean in and listen. This activity forces us to look at Europe's deep past. The continent is littered with ancient volcanic systems, what we call sleeping giants. Think of the Campi Flegrei, or Phlegrean fields, near Naples, Italy. This isn't a typical cone-shaped volcano. It's a massive supervolcano, a sprawling caldera simmering just beneath one of Europe's most densely populated areas. For decades, it has been relatively quiet, breathing slowly as the ground rises and falls. But recently, the breathing has become more erratic. The ground uplift has accelerated, and the number of small earthquakes has spiked dramatically. Local authorities are reviewing evacuation plans, a stark reminder that this giant is not sleeping as soundly as we'd hoped. And it's not just Campi Flegrei. Let's travel north to Iceland, which straddles the mid-Atlantic ridge. While always volcanically active, the recent series of eruptions on the Reykjanes Peninsula, threatening the town of Grindavik, has been exceptional in its persistence and behavior. This isn't a one-off event, it's a new volcanic chapter opening up. Similarly, even places like the Eiffel volcanic field in Germany, which last erupted around 13,000 years ago, are showing subtle signs of renewed life, with ground uplift and gas emissions being monitored. These aren't signs of an imminent eruption, but they are evidence that the magma chambers deep below are far from dead. The crucial question scientists are now asking is, are these events connected? Is the tremor in France, the swarm in Germany, and the unrest in Italy all part of a larger, continental-scale geological shift? This is where the science gets truly fascinating and a little unnerving. The prevailing theory is that the African tectonic plate is continuing its slow, inexorable push northward, grinding against the Eurasian plate. This tectonic pressure is the ultimate driver of almost all of Europe's seismic and volcanic activity. But the new hypothesis is that this pressure might be intensifying or changing in its distribution, creating new stress points in the crust. Imagine you have a large sheet of glass and you start pushing on one edge. At first, you might see cracks form only near the edge where you're pushing. But if you keep applying pressure, new and unexpected cracks might suddenly appear in the middle of the sheet. Geologists suspect something similar might be happening to the European continental plate. The pressure from Africa isn't just being absorbed by the Mediterranean fault lines anymore. It's being transmitted further inland, waking up old, forgotten fault systems and disturbing ancient magma reservoirs. This interconnectedness means an event in one region could potentially increase stress in another, hundreds of miles away. So, what does this all mean for the future? It's important to state clearly, this is not about predicting a continent-wide apocalypse. Geology works on immense timescales. However, what this shift does mean is that our understanding of risk needs to be updated. A city that has been considered safe for centuries might need to reevaluate its building codes. Emergency response plans might need to be created for regions that never thought they'd need them. It's a fundamental reassessment of Europe's geological stability. The tremors are a warning shot, a message from the deep earth that the ground beneath our feet is not as static as we like to believe. The technology we have today allows us to see this unfolding picture with unprecedented clarity. GPS stations measure ground deformation to the millimeter. Seismometers detect tremors far too weak for any human to feel. Gas sensors sniff the air for volcanic fumes. All this data is fed into complex models that try to simulate the immense forces at play. We are, in a sense, trying to take an MRI of the entire continent to understand what's happening in its core. The challenge is immense, but our ability to listen to the Earth's whispers has never been better. This renewed geological activity is a profound reminder of the dynamic and powerful planet we live on. The ancient landscapes of Europe were forged by fire and upheaval, and these forces have not gone away. They have merely been resting. The recent tremors and stirrings are not just isolated data points. They are chapters in a story that began billions of years ago and continues to unfold right beneath our feet. We must watch, listen, and learn from these sleeping giants, because their awakening, however slow, will reshape the world we know. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive into Europe's changing geology. It's a complex and evolving story, and one we'll be keeping a close eye on. If you found this fascinating, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more content that explores the powerful forces shaping our world. Stay curious and stay safe.